Salaki, so continuing where I left off, I had the part two done. Um, it didn't end up saving for whatever reason. So this is gonna be, you know, um, pretty much part two, the retake. But anyway, so as I said, um, as I already said, pretty much you got these kids. People want to learn about slavery because they see the standards and the situation that uh, it has created, you know, for them and people who happen to be their peers, which just isn't adding up, and they're being forced to see it now in a way more truthful because the so-called white man obviously has changed textbooks, he has hid it, he's removed it from textbooks, and ultimately the continuation of what pretty much the situation you find, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and the Native American Indians in, as this day does not make up. It doesn't make sense based off how the so-called white man may have taught, allowed the slavery to be learned. You see what I'm saying? Or if they even knew it all, and learned by, um, people who weren't affected by it, let alone people who were, which are the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, in a negative way. These other people were affected, positively, but in the end run, it's actually, gonna have a side effect, which will be negative, you know, to you, and pretty much that's that. So with these people, with that being found out, okay, this is how the slavery really was. This is needed, because now I'm able to, pretty much understand what's going on. You can see now the mercy that the Lord said that these people wouldn't have or weren't having on His people. Pretty much as a reality, because here it is, you got the poor trying said to be devoured off the face of the earth, which are the Israelites, and you got the poor today, right? Like, why are these poor, needy people like constantly being picked on, and then ironically they were put in slavery? Well, that's the same thing for the Israelites, and that's really due to the so-called white man, these so-called white people not having any mercy, according that the scriptures that prophesied that wouldn't be, pretty much mercy that was prophesied that wouldn't be shown to the Israelites. No matter that they will go into slavery, these captivities, be above all people. You see what I'm saying? They will be not showed any mercy to. So Isaiah 47:6, I was wroth with my people, I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst shew them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid the yoke. You see? So the so-called white man, he went on to pretty much complete the slavery that was foretold that we will go in, that the Israelites will go in, and we know it's these so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, because they're the only people that foot this bill. And as we already laid out, they were actually above all people upon the face of the earth, and actually still are to this day. But due to the so-called white man, things are upside down right now. You see what I'm saying? Um, so you will have a people that's supposed to be at the top, clearly, at the very bottom due to that. So, for example, let's read this, Deuteronomy 28:1, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord to thy God, to observe and to do all His commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And you don't see that, man. You see that? You don't see that. It says, let's go. to these loans. Verse 12, the Lord shall open thee unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. So that's the very situation that you know the Israelites will find themselves in, will not find themselves in, due to this oath, not being upkept, and they will actually what be borrowing, never lending, never owning any banks, never able to, you know, have banks and a loan or anything, and that fits who the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and the whole time, the entire time, they're above all people. Now, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked according to the scriptures, but when you go to let's go to Isaiah real quick, because I'm going to make this quicker than the one before. Isaiah 29:16. It says, what? Surely your turning of things upside down, shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he have no understanding? See that? So the Lord says, the people that's running the earth right now, they have turned everything upside down. So if everything is 100% upside down, according to the scriptures, according to the Heavenly Father, that means the people that will be in actuality, in reality, at the top will be at the very bottom. Because remember, things are upside down now. All right, so let's go get another scripture showing that. This is Psalms. We're going to go to the 82nd chapter. We're going to go to the 5th verse. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations are, and there's a lot of people that don't understand that. You see what I'm saying? They don't know that, But the time has come now where the Lord is making these people know that, learn that. You see what I'm saying? Because the so-called white man, he's trying to hide the legacy of slavery. You see what I'm saying? And pretty much keep people in on the dark on the reality they're actually living out, and that's you benefiting continuously and have, and only been able to come into being based off the broken backs and continuous broken backs of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Your existence, your Fortune 500 companies. You know what I'm saying? Your everything, man. Your acres, all of this stuff was off the blood, sweat, and tears, and it's continuously still to this day off the blood, sweat, and tears of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. But you didn't know that, because that's not glamorized here. That's a thorn in America's eyes. America's side and America's image. That's a blemish on their image, on the so-called white man's image. And it's just a tough pill to swallow for everybody. But nonetheless, the Lord is making everybody know this now, because it would not have been known in the way it should have been, from the beginning. But now it is, and this is the true way, because you're not gonna get this truth, the truth on the matter, besides any other way than the Holy Scriptures, through the men teaching it, the Israelite men that's been set up to teach it and show it. And you'll have some history books coincide with it, some so-called scholars, hidden scholars, which is probably a hand count, if that, co-sign with this truth, man, the truth about this particular matter, man, which is the biggest matter, hidden and never explained. You know what I'm saying? But now it's being explained and revealed for reasons these people can't imagine, man. But anyway, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. See that? All the foundations of the earth are out of course. So that's going into coincides once again with everything being upside down. See? So if everything is out of course, it's not how it's supposed to be. If everything is upside down, things that's made to be put on the pedestal is actually at the bottom. You see what I'm saying? And things is at on the pedestal is actually supposed to be at the bottom. You see that? So that's just the reality of the matter. It even tells you this in the next verse. You got the gods of the earth that completely at the bottom to this day. You know, the most dominating people on the face of the earth at the bottom to this day. You know, and that's completely targeted. That's completely set up, as we read in Proverbs, the 30th chapter. All right, so going back to Deuteronomy 20:28 and 10, and all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. You see what I'm saying? Everybody knows there's something, about the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. They have had, they have met a defeat, you know, like no other, which is really just a temporary defeat, but it's something still special about them. All right, and that's really because we're the Israelites. We're God's chosen people. And it just doesn't make sense for life to be going the way that it is for them, even to this very day, given they went through everything they went through. But nonetheless, let's jump to the point. All right, so you go into the verse 15. This is how we know this is dealing with them, because this is said to be the case for the Israelites. You see what I'm saying? Even though they will go through everything they have went through, people will still be on their tails. You see what I'm saying? I should get that real quick. People will still be oppressing them. They will still be being oppressed regardless. I'll come back to that, Lord willing. Verse 15, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, and that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city. Who's more cursed in the cities across America? You see? Than the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Who's cursed? Let's just put it like that. Who's cursed across the cities of America, man? In every city you look, across the globe, Europe, etc. And cursed shalt thou be in the field. You see that? Going into the countries who's picking cotton, etc. Cursed shall be thy basket in thy store. Going into these little fake businesses we have, corner stores that close down, get abandoned. Jump into the point, verse 19. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Your people born into gangs and poverty, and what I'm saying, like it's just it's crazy, man. It's madness. You leave cursed. So-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. All right. You can just keep going. It says, the Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuking all that thou settest thine hand unto. You see, your hand. We try to be wrestlers. You go to the wrestling match, in high school with some braids on your hair or afro. They kick you out of school. The young women, they go to school with their, natural hair out. They tell them they have to shave or put it up, or they get, expelled. You got all these stories coming out. No matter what you try to do, you're just trying to be a student and be yourself. You're rebuked for that. You're vexed for that. You know what I'm saying? It just don't, the complexions, it don't make any sense. And that's the reality for a so-called black, Latino, and Native American Indian. All right. So-called Latinos, they go to work, and they rebuked for their pretty much their attendance, their dedicated attendance upon working, that they're taking the jobs. You see what I'm saying? They they rebuked for even how good they work, man. They're vexed knowing how people look at them with that. They take the most demeaning jobs, so-called jobs. It says, "In all that thou settest thy hand unto." Like here it is, they're doing good. They're always at so-called work. You know what I'm saying? And they doing a hell of a job, working hard, and everybody. And they're mocked and ridiculed for that and the way they do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's just rebuke. How you rebuking somebody for having all these jobs that they have to have in order to survive, and then it's actually making this country run. That's and they feel that in their spirit. They're vexed. They know that. They just don't say anything to you people. Unless you make them. So that's a curse and a vex, and all that thou saidest thy hand to do for it to do until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doings whereby thou hast forsaken me. And it's just because we separated from our power. And ultimately the so-called white man has separated us from our power, which is the not no mercy the Lord is talking about. But anyway, verse let's jump to the point. There's so many scriptures. Let's go to 30 man. And so you got the natives right here. 32, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto other people. That's going into the boarding schools. When the native children was taken from the parents would be killed. The children would be separated and sent off to these schools, cut their hair. You see what I'm saying? Like they being made to be, like they being civilized. And a lot of children coming up dead. You know what I'm saying? You just keep going. That's heavy amongst the northern kingdom. The Native American Indians. It says, "And thine eyes shall look and fail with," and another people was, the so-called white people, man. People that weren't our people. That's what happened to our sons and daughters. It says, "Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look, and fail with longing for them all the day long." Yeah, they would be put, sent off to completely separated, sent off to boarding school, man. So-called boarding school. You can look it up. It says, "And thy eye shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand." It was nothing our people could do. "The fruit of thy land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up." You see, and that's what happened when they came to America in the 1400s, the Americas. Here it is, we sold this land, set this land up, and people we didn't even know, started eating this land up, man. Everything that we worked, we sold here, the so-called white man came and reaped, from the so-called Latinos and all of the gold, etc., man. It says, "And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always." This is the truth of the slavery, and this was throughout the slavery, the enslavement of the so-called natives and Latinos. You see what I'm saying? And then they would be sent off the reservations and cut off at a border called Mexico, man. You see what I'm saying? When Mexico's a part of the United States. Anyway, there's so many you could just go into. And all this was brought about through the slavery. "And thou shalt become an astonishment and a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee." See, no matter where they would go, the Israelites would go, this would be their situation. They would become bywords. They would be called outside of their names. You see what I'm saying? Which is a mock or a taunt, spook, spit, wetback. You see what I'm saying? Blanket butt. Indian, Seminole Indian, black, Negro, Moreno. You know what I'm saying? You keep going. Goddamn Mexican. You know? Make no sense, man. It says, and that's everywhere. All right. So we're going to just jump down to the point. So you could just see this, man. This is, and that slavery brought all this about, man. All right. Verse 46, "And they shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder, and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever." See that? And that, it will identify and who you will be, because if you're being called outside your name, obviously you're being separated from who you truly are. You see what I'm saying? Who you truly are is being cloaked, is being put to the back. No one cares about. And then eventually people will believe the names we will be being called is who we truly are. All right? And then the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, verse 49, from the end of the earth, because we will be at one end, which is the western hemisphere. They will come from the east, Spain, right? From one end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation, you see, and who has this, their symbol as the eagle, America, so-called white man. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Yeah, they came to the Americas with a Hebrew translator. All right, a woman by the name of I want to say her name was Mestizo, because that's where you get the mestizo thing from. You got mulattoes and mestizos, but I believe that name came from her name, but she was a Hebrew translator because obviously the natives and the Latinos spoke Hebrew. You see what I'm saying? But the Spaniards, they couldn't understand that. The Spaniards, Christopher Columbus brought with him a Hebrew translator. All right? We got the documentation. You know what I'm saying? And they will come against them, you know. That's it, man. That's the, you know, the same flat symbol of this country, which is from the so-called white man, is the same so-called white man that took this country, that came against the people that was originally in this country, you know, came against them, man. Swooped in. See that? So this is talking to those people who will succumb to those people that will go on and run this place and have their symbol as an eagle, man. See? So we're going to jump to the point. So let's go to 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee from among all people from one end of the earth. And this is going into what? The transatlantic slave trade. You have the sub-Saharan slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade. I believe you have the East African slave trade, because Jacob was scattered everywhere. But you got all these different slave trades that sent our people, Jacob, across the globe, man. You see, that's why you got so-called blacks in every country, man. You see, every continent, you know. They're in the Americas, they're in Europe, they're in Australia, you know what I'm saying? They in Russia, they everywhere, man. You know, we're everywhere. It says we're in Ireland, you know. We're in even though that's the Americas, we're in Canada, you see? And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth, even on the islands, even though those are Americas too, but even unto the other, and there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Yeah, we was converted to Catholicism, which was that wood, and then a lot of this, which is just done by the northern kingdom, so-called natives and Latinos, you know what I'm saying, in Christianity, which is that wood too, you know, with the crucifix, man, that cross. And then you got the stone being, you know, what the Southern Kingdom really get into besides Christianity, which is being Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Jake think they ain't Muslims, with them worshiping that the cobalt stone, all right, which is a stone in Mecca, which they walk around, you know, when they take a pilgrimage. You know, real so-called Muslims, not these fake Muslims. You know, these jakes that's just succumbing to these curses. You know, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart and a failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. See that? So no ease. So this is why you got people wanting to learn about, the Lord is putting the spirit on these people to want to learn about the legacy of slavery, because it has created the very situation you see today, the very well-being of them, and the misunderstanding of people who they swear they're just being equal to, but they clearly see that ain't the case. You see what I'm saying? Which don't make any sense for them to not be equal, especially given the fact that they was put in slavery. So the Lord got a lot of people like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to come to find out, oh, these are the Lord's people. These are the children of Israel. So, and we actually benefited off and are benefiting off of this right now. So The Lord is revealing these things for reasons you people can't even imagine, man. You know what I'm saying? It says, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. Our people don't have no insurance. A lot of our people die with no life insurance, man. Like literally. Let's go clear. Let's speak to that. No life insurance. You know what I'm saying? Literally no insurance on your life. No assurance. That's insurance, but no assurance of your life, man. You know what I'm saying? You might die today, you might die tomorrow. You might die by this, you might die by that. You might make it, you might not make it. You know what I'm saying? You might go to college, you might drop out. There's no assurance of your life. You might graduate and never get in the field. You see what I'm saying? Verse 68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. Remember this talking to the Israelites. Only so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians fit this. Again, the house of bondmen of Gin, right, with ships. So who went into the house of bondmen, a.k.a. slavery, the house of bondage, a.k.a. slavery, right, again, with ships, thus showing you that these people are really those famous people that was known for coming out of Egypt due to their slavery and the Creator being their father, man. You know what I'm saying? Being their God, who people call God, Yahawah. So these so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians was said to go, being the Israelites, will have went into Egypt again. So these are those same famous people with ships, because who the only people that went into Egypt again with ships? Went into slavery with ships. Went into the house of slavery, bondage with ships. By ships, man. So-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. That's the truth. You didn't know that. By the way whereof I spake unto thee. That's exactly how it's going to happen. Thou shalt see it no more again. Right? Because you will be taken from one place to another. That's what the ships is for, man. And that's from you no longer seeing your homeland again. The place you're from. Thou shalt see it no more again. And most of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians haven't even ever went back, even to across the international, internationally over the seas, man. It's never happened. On average, we're talking about on average, as a nation. I haven't been. It says, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold. Ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. You see, meaning you go into that word buy, it means redeem, save. So real quick, let's go to Joel in the 3rd chapter. I'm going to close out. For behold, in those days, in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them, meaning the valley of decision, because this is for all the controversy of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which is going to be revealed that they have been the children this entire time. You see what I'm saying? But not showing any mercy. So the Lord will show mercy by getting you people to acknowledge and learn the legacy of slavery. Also because it's getting ready to happen to you. So when it happens to you, the Lord is justified on the way it's going to happen to you and the extremes of it when it happens to you, other people, Israelites. You're going to get it. You see what I'm saying? But let me continue, because I know I didn't finish my train of thought. But anyway, and we'll plead with them for my people. You see, and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. So it would have went on to be fulfilled. Israel would have went into Egypt again with slavery. Egypt being spiritual Egypt, man. Where our people wouldn't be showed no mercy. You see what I'm saying? And people wouldn't suffer us to be put the rest, man. Telling us who we are. But keeping up the sham, the charade. Revelation 11:8, and their dead body shall lie in the street of the great city. You see, which spiritually, so this is all spiritual, called Sodom and Egypt. So it's a spiritual Egypt. That's the second Egypt, the Egypt. The Egypt they will go back into again, the Israelites. It will be a second. They will go back. They will go back into Egypt again because they will be taken to a place that's spiritually just like Egypt, where they will be put in slavery, but by ships this time, through ships. You see, where also our Lord was crucified. You look at America, it's heavy in the idolatry of Egypt is heavily here. It's just heavily here, man. All right, heavily favored here, from the money, from the Super Bowl performances, from these temples. You see what I'm saying? The Eye of Horus, everything. You got Ankhs everywhere. You go to Memphis, Egypt, Memphis, Tennessee. You see what I'm saying? You got Memphis. You got with the Sphinx, pyramids, in literal Memphis, Tennessee. You got Las Vegas. That's literally a replica of Egypt. You see what I'm saying? Sphinx and pyramids everywhere. Go to Las Vegas. This is spiritual Egypt, man. And this is the place where the biggest slavery on earth took place, man. The majority of the Israelites are here and are still in slavery here. They just don't have the chains on their neck anymore, man. Because all throughout all of that, they will have, after all that, they will have been promised 40 acres and a mule, which they will have not have gotten, and they will have not be repaid, aka gotten any reparations for all of that, and they will still be in slavery, regardless that the chains, the yokes of iron are off their necks. That was just basically pretty much a sign to show they're trained now. You know, they've been broken now. They're not going to run away like a dog without a leash. But anyway, but they will still have to pay taxes. That's how you know you're a slave. This was so-called Christ came and said. They had him paying taxes. Pre-slave ships to America, to the Americas, man, and the slave trades. Pre all that, because our it was, you know, our home was put under subjugation to the Romans, you know, and after the Romans pretty much ran their course, Yahushua got crucified, rose again, left, said he was going to come back, and this is how everything was going to be. He came and co-signed what Daniel was saying. He came and added another witness, a second witness or third witness to what Daniel said, which spoke about, which is the abomination of desolation. Ultimately, when Jerusalem will be sacked, the Lord told our people it was going to happen. And the people that he was telling that to were the Jews, the southern kingdom, the so-called Negroes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And you had, you know, couples left from the northern kingdom, but primarily all of the people that were there when Christ so-called Christ walked, Hamashiach walked, Yahushua walked, were, you know, the Negroes, because he was of Judah. So it only makes sense, which he's a so-called black man and will be a so-called black man today. And it's coming back as a so-called black man. So he came, co-signed the abomination of desolation, a.k.a. Jerusalem will be sacked. Y'all need to look out. Don't even look back. It's over with after that. That happened, and we did what? We fled into West Africa, because Israel is basically in Africa. You can go, a.k.a. how we walked from Egypt to Israel, to the land of Canaan, because it's right there. Egypt is Africa. So we will flee into West Africa like Joseph and Mary did for when Yahushua, who people call Christ, was a baby, because they could blend in there. They fled into Egypt, fleeing from, I want to say, Herod, right? Because everybody there is dark, but we're not the same people, because people mistake us for being African. We're not African. The Africans, the so-called Africans, are Hamites. We're not from the son of Ham, which is a bunch of dark people. We're from the son of Shem, which is a bunch of dark people, except for Esau. Esau comes from Shem. They're the only unmelanated people on the earth. Everybody on the earth is brown. But nonetheless, they will flee. So that tactic will still be acted out upon by the southern kingdom, because the Israelites, we always knew we always knew that we could blend in with them, because we were all dark. So we will have fleeing Roman persecution in 70 A.D. when Jerusalem was sacked, and that will be it. And we would hide out in West Africa for some time, but these prophecies will have to be fulfilled, because we disobeyed God's commandments, which is why all that will go on to happen. And then at that point, we will what? We will be sold off by the Hamites to the so-called white man, which were the British, aka they're gonna be, and the British were who? They were originally the Greeks. So you're gonna read in the scriptures, and it's gonna say Tyre and Sidon which is Ham, so-called Africans, and then they were sold, the Lord's people, his daughters and his sons, to the Grecians, meaning the Greeks, which is who are the Greeks? So-called white people, man. Period. That's the only thing that, and notice this talking about Israelites, man. All right, but nonetheless, this is how you have all this being called this, man. You know, and their dead body shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Yeah, our Lord was crucified in this place. That's spiritually compared to Sodom in Egypt. LGBT push here, you know, and slavery took place here, and they hype heavy in the ideology of Egypt in America. And the Lord was crucified here, because you can see that in the movie of Passion of Christ. They butchered the Lord here, because they're butchering the word. Go watch Passion of Christ and read Revelation 1 and 14 through 16. Then go read Daniel 10 and 5. Then go read Daniel 7 and 6 through 9. And then go watch that movie. They butchered the word. The Lord don't look nothing like that. The word didn't say he looked like that, so you basically butchered the word. And the word is Yahawaah, man. So the Lord was crucified here, and then they butchering the word, because they said that this word stands for stuff it don't stand for. This word does not say it love everybody, man. This word does not say it's coming back for everybody. You know what I'm saying? This word, yeah, they killed the Lord, man. They crucified the Lord. They sacrificed him for themselves. You see what I'm saying? They put what the word say to the back for their own feelings. So the Lord, aka the word, was crucified here, man. Period. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and the nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half. And that will be his people in the Americas, the so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which would have been found in West Africa and then brought to the Americas after the taking of America and through the enslavement of the Latinos and so-called natives that was here. And they will be brought to the rest of their people. That's why I say Judah and the children of Israel oppressed. You see? And shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. You see? No one would say, and a lot of people know who the Jews are, the Israelites are. You know, they ain't suffering, but now the Lord is forcing you people to learn slavery. Your children is walking the streets learning this, man. Having their minds, just finished. You know, they're being traumatized off hearing this truth, man. Plagued. All right? So let's go back to Joel so I can close out. Joel 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people Israel and for my heritage, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land, for they have cast lots for, see? You scattered us among the nations through the slave trades, and you parted the land. Y'all broke the land down. You know, post, the sacking of Jerusalem, 70 AD, centuries later, you would have what? You would have 1949 or 1948, the Balfour Declaration being declared, being instituted, which is pretty much them declaring the new state of Israel. You see what I'm saying? Which is where they basically have a bunch of fake Jews living there, which are a bunch of so-called white people and Japhetic people, all right? Bunch of people there, really, so they all broke, they broke the land in pieces, and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot, you see, and they sold a girl for wine that they might drink, and that's dealing with the Arabs. Was selling slaves for musket guns and wine. You know what I'm saying? No slaves was us. So a lot of your wine is off our back, man. You see? Yeah, what have ye to do with me, O Tyree and Sidon? See, everybody got stuck their nose somewhere they ain't had no business, man. Everybody benefited, see? Off the Israel ass. So-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians ass. And Tyree and Sidon is talking about the actual so-called Africans. We're not Africans. Zonovan Bible Compact Bible Dictionary shows you that. Look up the word Ham, man. You see, and all the coast of Palestine, and all the coast of Palestine. Who's Palestine today? Once again, more Ishmaelites, man, more Arabs. And Arabs can consist of Elamites and Ishmaelites, man. You see, East Indians and so-called Muslims. Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye, so everybody got a piece of this, man. And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? The Lord, he don't want nothing you people can give him back. There's no ransom for what y'all did. So he's revealing all this to y'all for reasons you can't even imagine. What's the reason you can't imagine? Because ye have taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. So you went on and fulfilled those curses. You see that? Help played out those prophetic curses, that ye might remove them far from their border. You see?